Section 178. You see that? Non-count nouns. These are uncountables. I think we're all familiar enough, with countable things, aren't we? Chairs, carpets, people, we just make it plural, and most of the time we just do a really simple thing, add an S. I think we're all happy with that. Did that many certificates ago. Uncountables are a little bit trickier. And I tend to call them uncountable, they call them non-count. It's the same thing. Different grammar, some books sometimes use different terms. It means the same thing. Non-count nouns. Non-count nouns show no contrast in number between singular and plural. They refer to things treated as indivisible entity. Entity, that word there, that is in your academic word list. Entity means a thing. Indivisible, you can't divide it up. Not as separate units. They typically refer to things such as materials and liquids. You see where we are? We're on this 178 section. I'm reading from down the bottom here.
Oh.
Yeah, got it?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, sorry, I put the staple in the wrong spot. That's probably misled. Yeah. So, they typically refer to things such as materials and liquids, states of mind, conditions, topics, processes, and substances. Can you see where we are? I just want to make sure everybody's... Are we all on the same page? Good. We can say this metaphorically. Do you know that expression? Oh, I think we're on the same page means I think we're thinking the same way. But here it's literal, physical, isn't it? Are we on the same page? So, I'll start quickly again. Non-count nouns. No contrast in number between singular and plural. They refer to things that they treated as indivisible. You can't divide them. Like we could divide the chairs in the room, couldn't we? We have 7 there and 6 over there. Not as separate units. They typically refer to things such as materials and liquids. I mean, we can't really divide a liquid, for example. States of mind, conditions, topics, processes and substances. Those are key categories. So if you come across something and it's a substance or a process, probably it could be uncountable. You have to be ready for it to be uncountable. Now, there are 2 types of non-count nouns, singular and plural. There are some non-count nouns that are fixed in the singular and some that are fixed in the plural. Let's deal with the singulars first. And here's a little bit on the article. Singular non-count nouns are not used with the indefinite article a or an, or in the plural. I can hear music, not a music. You could say, I can hear a bit of music, but you can't hear a music.
A piece of music.
That's right, a piece or a bit. One way of making non-count nouns countable is to add a piece of or a bit of. We'll get to that later, and there are other things we can say, and it depends on what the object is. Whether we can say a piece, a bit, a sliver, a dash, a drop. There are these different phrases. We'll get to that later. The furniture was very old. The furnitures were very old. Right? Furniture, although there's a lot in the room, it's singular. They got good advice. A very common problem, this one. They got good advice from the student counsellor. They got a good advice from the student counsellor. What if you wanted to correct that? They got a good piece of advice, bit of advice. That's where, you can drop that in and that works. They got good advices from the student counsellor. You correct it by just saying they got good advice. Now, those last 2, furniture and advice, are really common errors. Some examples here. And what the other nice thing about the fact that the computer data has driven this book, so we can say it's a data-driven book publication, it's evidence-based, is they can ask this database, they put in some common non-counts like furniture. What's the typical error that people make? Like, you can ask this question: what are the mistakes that people make with this word? And you can get common errors. So they have done this throughout the book, and they put crosses through them. So the examples they use are statistically based. They take the most common errors in these categories and they give it to us as examples, which is a really nice idea. So the likelihood is that you may be making these errors, you know.
For me, are very common for the last one. They got good advice
Yeah.
from the student.
Yeah.
Because I got advice, a lot of advice.
That's right. Now you can say lots of advice. That's right. Lots of works for uncountables, no worries.
But I thought just put S,
Yeah,
then will be a
exactly.
lot of advice.
No.
That's a very common.
Yeah. Yeah, and these are common. Even at level 4, I find, you know, one of the most common errors is still this territory, this getting the uncountables right. This is why we're doing it early, because it's difficult. Now, here is a list of, you know, many of these, not all of them, are often problematic. Advice, baggage, bread, cement, cheese, electricity, fun, furniture, happiness. Just while we're looking at that list, keep our mind on the bottom of page 178, what we've already read. Materials, liquids, states of mind, conditions, topics, processes, substances. Look at that list. We can see substances, can't we? States of mind, happiness, etc. Health, information, knowledge, luck, luggage, paint, patience, state of mind, progress, process, rain, yeah, sure, yeah, all good, I do it all the time, no worries, that's okay. Sand, yeah, materials. Snow, soap, these are like materials. Truth, what do we call this? Truth, it's just an entity, an abstract entity. Water.
That's mind for the...
State of mind? Sure. Weather, violence. Now, have a self-reflection. Which ones of those have you maybe said or written in the plural? Bread? Breads? Yeah, you can't do it. You can go and get 2 loaves of bread from the shop, but you can't get 2 breads.
Yeah.
So again, you've got to get this, like pieces, bits, slivers. There's a list later on that'll tell you how you can make these things countable.
Information?
Yeah, really common. Informations.
What is not so
Yeah.
uncomfortable?
Because in the English mind, I guess, it's like, think of uncountables like sand. You know, are you going to start counting bits of sand?
No.
We just give up, don't we? So we just say, it's all one thing, right? You don't go, you're building a house, you don't ring up and say, can I have 7,221,569,708 bits of sand, grains of sand, please? You know, you just say, I want a ton, like a big lot. So the point is, anything, there's a tendency with these things, anything that where you can get lots of it, we tend to treat it as uncountable. So information, it's huge amounts.
Cheese, you can count.
Okay, substances. Substances aren't things. It's a substance. Okay? So a substance has no kind of division. Think of it like that. I'm trying to express it physically because it sort of helps. Yeah? So substance is sticky, kind of liquidy.
But even with substance, each piece is substance.
Ah,
And
now you've said
slice.
piece. Now you've said slice. Yeah, I want 6 slices of cheese, please. Not too thin. You know? That's okay. A slice now becomes a thing that I can count. But the substance itself is uncountable. This is how the language thinks of it anyway. Yeah.
Baggage?
Yeah, luggage and baggage are really common. Oh, I've lost my 2 luggages.
Yeah.
No, I've lost my 2 bits of luggage. I had 2 pieces of luggage. Where have they gone? You're only allowed 1 bit of baggage, you know, on the aeroplane. Yeah.
How about the soap? A piece of soap. When we
Yeah.
also do
Soap
account
set.
I heard it, James. You said? Bar, right.
Bar.
You know, if you want, with uncountables, you want to say to somebody, can I have 2 bars of soap up to my hotel room, please? I haven't got any soap in the bathroom. I need 2 bars. 2 packets, you could say. A bar is the common collocation. Yeah. You can't say 2 soaps.
We just check an online dictionary
Yeah.
of soaps.
Ah, really?
Yeah, probably. It's
And
wrong.
in what context? Because look, some nouns, this is just to complicate things, some nouns can in some contexts be countable and other contexts uncountable. Work. Usually we talk about work. I'm going to work. My work is. We don't say there are several works. We say there are several positions, don't we? Work is always in singular, uncountable. However, art, there are 6 works by Picasso in the State Gallery. So for art, we can say it, but generally we don't. So when you look up dictionaries, they'll often say noun, countable and uncountable, and it will hopefully give you examples in the different contexts. Now, is there something there about soaps?
No example.
No example? No. What's the dictionary?
What's the dictionary? Oh, it's
Is it Chinese to English?
yeah, Chinese
Okay.
English.
This is where I find native language to English can sometimes fall down, you know. On countability issues, they can sometimes get it wrong. You can say soaps, I can say cheeses, and let's take another one. What's another one I've got on the list? Paints. When I'm talking about different kinds. So for example, if you go around the mall, I don't know if it's still there, the Body Shop, you know, and it sells all those different kind of soaps.
Yeah.
You can buy lavender soap, you can buy, you know, soy-based soap, and so we've got, madam, we've got 37 soaps here. Which one would you like? So when we talk about types of, you can switch to countable. It's like, look, a classic one like that is fruit. Now usually if you go to the market you'd say, oh, there's lots of different fruit here, but you can say lots of different fruits. Fruit is usually uncountable. But if you're really stressing the different kinds, you can say fruits. Okay, so maybe they've got it there as soaps because, you know, because of that. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, look, those ones you've got to watch out for. And as it says, look, under that category, singular non-count nouns may have concrete meanings. Cheese, furniture, luggage, sand. In other words, many of these can be physical or more abstract. Advice, knowledge, patience, progress. Can you see? What you tend to get is the non-counts tend to be like substances, and the abstract ones we tend to. Most abstract nouns, I'm having a guess here, but I'd say most abstract nouns we tend not to pluralise. They tend to be uncountable. Let's push on. When concrete nouns are singular non-count, it's usually because they're seen as an undifferentiated mass. I mean, it's just one big blob of stuff. A blob is like a shapeless thing. A blob. Do you know that word? Blob? A blob is like, imagine, you know, you got some tomato sauce and went, yeah. That's a blob, just a shapeless sort of semi-liquid kind of mass. It's a blob. So yeah, we're thinking of singular non-counts like they've got no kind of boundary, it's fluid, it's just a substance. The names of many common items of food, this is key, common items of food and drink, many of them, not all, are counted as singular non-count nouns, as are the names of materials. If you're an engineer, materials engineer, working with steel, plastic, iron, whatever, titanium, these are all uncountable. The nouns in the list below that are liquids, gases and solids consist of collections of small particles that are usually, not usually divided and so are seen as whole. That's like that point about information, you know, and like I said, sand, you know, too many bits to start thinking of it as countable. This room, chairs, we can think of it as countable. We can quickly count them and see if we've got enough, can't we? Sand, you wouldn't bother. And other materials are just lots of little molecules. We're not going to count it, so it's non-count. So we just call it singular. Let's have a look at the list. Food and drink. Bread, cake, cheese, coffee, curry, fruit, jam, juice, milk, oil, pasta, rice, salad, salt, spaghetti, spinach, sugar, tea, water, yogurt. I think you know all of that. All of those. Now you can have 3 cheeses on the shelf, sure. But and bread too, and sometimes it depends on the context. Coffee, take coffee. Can I have 3 coffees, please? Make them hot, make them quick. You know, I can say that, can't I? Because I'm talking about cups of coffee. But if I say, do you like coffee or tea? Right, substance. That's uncountable. So it's context dependent. This is what makes it tricky. And you know, that context, and is it countable or uncountable, is affecting that. So that's why that's one of the reasons that's so complex. We're already getting into, you can say it's complex. But that is, you know, the foundation of some of that. So that's why that is so tricky, because you've got to get control of this complex area first. All right, over the page. Here are some liquids, gases and solids. You know all these things? Adhesive, air, just an alphabetical list. Cement, cloth, concrete, cotton, deodorant, dye, fabric, fog, fuel, fur. That's how we pronounce that one. Fur. Like hair of animals, skin of animals. Hairy skin. Gravel, little stones. Lotion, like an ointment or a cream. Medicine, metal, ointment, paint, petrol, plastic, sand, smoke, soap, soil, toothpaste, wool. All of these we tend to say in the singular. Are there any there that you've found in the past you've sort of said in the plural? If not, you're on the right track.
Medicines.
Which one?
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste, oh yeah.
Medicine.
Yeah, now actually, okay, if we take toothpaste, what's the collocation that you need to make it countable? Tube, yeah. I need we need 3 tubes of toothpaste, yeah. Not 3 toothpastes.
Medicine.
Yeah, what would be your collocation? Starts with a D. Dose. Yeah, doses. D-O-S-E. So you give somebody a dose of medicine, a certain amount. Take 3 doses a day. Not 3 doses of this medicine a day, not 3 medicines a day. Yeah. Okay, so these liquids, gases and solids. You can see substances, it doesn't matter what state of matter it is, liquid, solid or gas. Stays in the singular. Now, next bunch. These are the tricky ones, because as it says, other languages divide masses and entities, there is things, differently from English. For example, in some languages, even other European languages, they're kind of close to English. They look at it differently. Hair, spaghetti, spinach and money are treated as plural units, rather than a singular mass. So think about your native language. What does it do with those things? Some of your languages don't have plurals at all, so it's not an issue. But these are ones that many people fall down on, metaphor, fall down on, make a mistake on. Here are the following examples that are often count nouns in many other languages. Accommodation, hugely common.
Yeah.
Are there any accommodations for our students? You cannot do it. Is there any accommodation? Singular. Right. Advice, applause, assistance, baggage, camping, cash, chaos, clothing, cutlery, knives, forks and spoons, cutlery, equipment, evidence, furniture, hair, harm. Sometimes, now, you know, that one, for example, insurance companies will say harms, and legal documents will sometimes say harms. So in a little subculture of the language, you can sometimes get a little bit of difference with some of these. Health, homework, housework, housing, information, knowledge, leisure, luck, luggage, money, music, news. I heard a news, incredibly common. You cannot do it. I heard some news. I heard a piece of news. I heard a bit of news. I heard an item of news.
A good news?
No.
I have a good news.
I have good news, not a good news. You can't put an adjective. Putting an adjective before it doesn't make the problem go away. You can't hide it by throwing an adjective in there. Alright?
You mean you never put any a before the news?
That's right.
Not any song, not any a, not anything?
No, you can say some. So if we take news, you can't say a news. You can't say a news, and you can't even put an adjective in there. A good news, a bad news, you can't do it. What can we do? If we want to use a, bit of, piece of, item, a bit more formal, you can do that. Okay, but you can't say a news. I have 3 bits of news for you. 2 of them are good, 1 of them is bad. Yeah? Which one do you want first? So, yeah, those are fine, but it's uncountable. Really, really common. Even though it's quite advanced speakers, that's one of the last errors that sort of disappeared. Progress. You can't have a progress. You can have some progress. So, look, just on this one, you can have some. Some is a beautiful word in these conditions. Some chairs, some tables, some progress, some news. It works for everything. All right? Really useful word, but very indefinite, isn't it? Not very precise. But some, and do you remember our weak form list? Some. Did you hear how I was saying it? Not some, some. Some news, some chairs, some advice. That will work across countable and uncountable.
Can you say some music?
Yes? You can pick any noun now and put some in front of it, it's going to work. Alright?
You mean before any uncountable names, we cannot put any a?
That's right. That's one of the rules. When we get into our rules here, yeah, before an uncountable, you can't put a. You can put the in certain conditions, but you can't put a or an. That's right. And these singular ones, you can't make plural. You can't have newses or progresses. Or let's keep going on the long list. Publicities, you cannot have. And the next one, the next one, the next one. Research. You cannot have researchers. Right, that is one of the most common, and of course we're doing diploma in academic writing, and so I see it like, every 2 weeks somebody writes researchers. No, stop. I think we'll start a $100 fine Yeah. Or if you write researches, I'll collect the money straight away if you do it. Yeah.
What if you don't
Now you can. What's that?
pay? What if you don't pay?
Ah, well, I will send my very big brother around to your house. I'll get your address from the database.
There's no such word researchers, right?
Now, there is that word. Listen, you can't write researchers, but you can write researchers. Same pronunciation, isn't it? ER.
What is the difference?
The difference is ER, the people who do it. The 3 researchers found this new drug that cured Alzheimer's disease. Okay? No worries. But researchers, now, what do we do?
What would we say in that case? Like from I would say like the wrong way, but
Yeah.
say from 3-4
Yeah.
types of researches or what? Like you know, you gathering some information.
3, okay, yeah, exactly. We need a word here, don't we?
Yeah.
It's a good question. All right, you can't say 3 researchers. So your very good question is, what do we do? Very easy.
Study.
From 3 studies.
That's fine. It's really simple. You just choose that word, and that's countable, isn't it? You do 1 study, 2 study, 19 studies, but you cannot do 19 researchers. That's uncountable. That's countable. So often with these, if you get stuck, you know, think to yourself, is there a countable equivalent meaning word? Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. If there's not, then you have to use what we call a partitive expression. Partitive expression. We'll get to these fairly soon. They're in here. But that one's an easy one. We don't have to go to partitive expressions, we just choose that word. It'll get you out of trouble. Okay, so research, rubbish, safety, shopping, spaghetti, spinach, traffic, transport, travel, underwear, violence, weather, work. I will leave you with the question of how you remember that particular list. I don't know, when you're writing, have it, you know, I guess have it. I think as we go through the diploma, you're going to collect certain reference items. Try to have them with you when you're writing, maybe not when you're writing your first draft, but you know, when you're editing. Accountability. I have a problem with accountability. This is my profile. Where's that stuff on accountability? Have a quick read of that before you reread your piece. You know, oh, research. Oh, you know, informations. Yeah. Right, you're going to have to. You're not going to remember all this just from this session. You've got to have it somewhere where you visit and revisit and revisit, and probably just before you edit your own stuff. I'll leave you to sort that out, how you do it. Okay. Down the bottom, it does say, a little asterisk, may occur as countdowns in non-British varieties of English. Well, certainly not in Australian English, and not in American, so I don't know. Where do they speak English where it's acceptable? Maybe in the Antarctica? Some little scientific base? I don't know. But as far as I know, you know, it's not a standard acceptable thing, researchers. Where have you left your luggages? Not possible. There are not many informations about the college. Can't do it. It's just looking at the errors. How are your knowledges of the British jail system? Can't do it. Your hairs look nice. Can't do it. You can say hair, a hair, and 3 hairs. You know the old joke, waiter, there's a hair in my soup. That's countable. When you're concentrating on that particular single, there's a hair, and we call it a strand. A strand of hair. When there's, you know, one particular strand, oh look what I found in my hamburger, you know, a strand. Right? I found 3 hairs in my hamburger. There, yeah. But when you're talking about somebody's hair, unless they're completely bald and they've just got 3 hairs, and you say, your hairs look nice. Yeah. Oh, yes. All right, let's just do a little bit. What have I got here? Oh, yeah. Oh, we're going to Shana will go fast-ish. Where are we up to? Yeah, all right, that's the end of singulars. Those are the nouns that are fixed, they're kind of trapped in the singular. Let's shift to the other side. Non-count nouns ending in S. Can you see I'm still on the same that page, just now deal with this.